Hi, my name is Aidan Mills. I'm the CEO of Northstar Clean Technologies. It's great to be a part of the TSX Cleantech Investor Day, and I'm here to talk about a company. As you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm not originally from Canada. So originally from Belfast, worked for BP for 20 years after graduation, 10 years in operation, and 10 year in engineering, and 10 years on the commercial side in marketing and trading. Came to Canada in 2007 and have stayed here ever since, which has been spectacular. And then in the last 10 years, I've worked for Goldman Sachs, Husky, and Meg Energy, and lastly as the Chief Commercial Officer for a family office here, looking at commodity developments in Western Canada. And now I'm very excited to be the CEO of Northstar Clean Technology. So who are we? We're a Canadian clean tech company focused on the recovery and repurposing of single-use asphalt shingles. So what we do is we've got a proprietary design that enables us to take asphalt tiles into its component parts with no waste, no residual products, a carbon intensity that is significantly lower than sending shingles to landfill and replacing them with virgin production. We have a fully built facility in Delta and BC, recently commissioned and target for steady state in Q1. And we're just about to embark on a full-scale program across North America. And our mission is really simple. We want to be the leading asphalt shingle material recovery provider in North America, extracting and stopping single-use asphalt shingles being sent to landfill. All right, so let's talk about asphalt shingles. So an asphalt shingle is basically made up of three component parts. So it's about 50% sand, about 25% fiber. The old fiber tiles are paper. New fiber tiles are fiberglass, and then the last 25% is asphalt oil. So let's talk about the investment summary with respect to this business. We believe we have a technology which is ready to deliver now. This isn't a clean tech play for 2030. This is ready to deliver now. We think it fits really well with the broad environment that is going on today around ESG, the circular economy, and lowering the carbon footprint of businesses. We have a business model that we feel has significant upside, with fundamentals that have got price upside, not pressure, and we have a strong capital structure with lots of potential for non-dilutive funding. Lastly, but most importantly, and one of the key reasons that I'm here, is we believe this solves a huge environmental problem. And let me tell you what that problem is. So today, if you look at the US market, and last year, approximately 13 million tons of shingles came off roofs in the US. So about 1 million of those were ground up into a smaller product and added to essentially road paving. So if you Google recycled asphalt shingles, pretty much every city will have a provider, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking shingle tiles, grinding them up, and putting them into road paving. But 12 million tons of those shingles went into landfill. So what does that actually mean in real numbers, 12 million tons? Well, as I said, about 25% of that is likely to be asphalt oil. So that's 3 million tons of oil going into landfill. So 3 million tons, is that a big number? Well, that's actually about 18.5 million barrels of oil. So in theory, that is approximately the same number as US daily oil production. So if you think about this problem is exactly the same as in the 1st of January, US oil production pours into all the landfills in North America or all the landfills in the US to provide that problem every single year. And is the problem going away? Well, no. The figure on the left-hand side of the screen shows that about 84% of the homes last year were roofed with asphalt shingles. And why is that? It's because they're light, they are cheaper, and so they're widely disposed across the marketplace. And so this market is continuing. Look, Could there be the potential to use different roofing technologies? Absolutely, for sure. We're completely supportive of that happening because it addresses, potential environmental problem. However, 84% of the roofs in the US are still have got asphalt shingles on. Okay, so it's a big problem. It's not going away. So what are we doing about it? So this is not only our business model, but it also shows you how the business actually works. So at the front end of our business, the asphalt shingles come in. Our business model is to encourage roofers, aggregators, bin haulers, etc., to turn left to our facility rather than going right to the landfill. So as we think about the deployment of these facilities, the best place for us to be within is, within 5 kilometers of a landfill. So we take the shingles in, we grind them up, as just exactly in the same way as the RAS recycled asphalt shingles do in the markets, as we talked about before, to grind them up into small particle sizes, and then we process them and separate them. Now, we have a unique technology that does that. We believe we have the only technology in North America that does that. And then out the back end of the facility comes liquid asphalt, the fiber, and the aggregate in the same proportions that we talked about before. None of this process provides a waste stream that needs to go back to landfill. It's all coped with within our facility. So out the back end is no waste stream. Out the back end is sales quality asphalt, fiber, and aggregate. And so this model is very similar to our business model. So at the front end, the tipping fees, if you drive to the Vancouver landfill today with a ton of asphalt shingles, you're going to pay somewhere, around between 100 and 130 bucks a ton, depending on the cargo. And so our first part of the business model is that when the truck turns right, we will also collect a tipping fee. Now, we'll likely discount that versus the landfill to make sure we're encouraging people to turn right instead of left to come to our facility. But that's the first part of the business model. The second part of the business model is on the output, and it's made up of the 3 streams. So asphalt, fiber, and aggregate. Fiber and aggregate can go into local markets. We're also working hard to understand how we can get fiber and aggregate to a specification where it goes back into the shingles. And obviously the primary output of the back of the plant is the asphalt itself. So it's sales quality asphalt, but it can be blended then to either be put into paving or back into shingles as well. And that's where the real benefit lies, because this is a completely circular product if we can make sure that it's going back into shingles as part of the circular economy. The fifth part that sits over the top is the carbon credits. I'll talk about carbon credits in a little while, but we have a significantly lower carbon footprint than sending shingles into landfill and virgin production. And if you look at this model and you think about the upside, so the upside comes from tipping fees are not going down. I mean, municipalities need to reduce the amount that's going to landfill, and so tipping fees are going up. Carbon credits, we believe, and the carbon benefit that we can demonstrate, we believe that advantage is going up. And in theory, we have the greenest and most renewable asphalt in North America. We absolutely do when we look at the business model and we look at the carbon footprint. And so we believe the value of green products is increasing. So what about the timing of this and with respect to support for the project? Well, the first thing to think about is what's happening with cities and landfills. So this is a good example of C40, but the 23 cities committed to the C40's declaration. C40's declaration says that they will reduce 50% of the solid waste disposed in landfills by 2030. What we do is we offer municipalities the ability to completely divert shingles from landfill. This is part of the circular economy. Circular economy is a key input, of course. And if you think about shingle tiles coming in and you think about asphalt coming out the back end that can go back into shingle tiles, it plays exactly to what the circular economy is. And lastly, emissions. So these are the zero emission asset managers and talking about the S&P companies, but what are we actually doing about it? So we did a life cycle analysis for the plant in Delta. And that plant is constructed, as I said, has commissioned, goes to steady state production in 1Q. If you take an asphalt shingle tile and you put it into landfill, and then you replace that with a barrel of virgin production, the carbon footprint is approximately 200 kilograms per CO2 equivalent for a produced ton. Ours is 77. So we have a 60% reduction versus virgin production and landfill, and we have a 60% reduction and approximately 122 kgs per ton of feedstock. Depending on the production level of the Delta facility at steady state production, that's anywhere between 1.5 to 3 million kilograms a year, and that's what we would expect from the other plants as well. As we think about the capital structure, so Q2, we had $10 million on the balance sheet, and that was all equity invested from the IPO. IPO was in July this year, provided about $12.2 million worth of cash, and all of this capital structure is retail. So this has no term debt in it. It has $1 million worth of debt, which is from a local provider, but no government loans and no long-term debt provision. So the capital structure has got huge upside. So let's think about the next strategic steps. We've completed our CO2 footprint assessment, and the engineering has been kicked off and will be completed in Q1 for the scale-up plants. And so that has been awarded to BBA, Canadian company, and we're using their offices in Calgary for the development of the scale-up plant. And then let's think about the delivery timeline. So CO2 completed, engineering study will be completed. And so the key things that are happening over the next 6 months is, number one, engineering study completed in Q1. And then secondly, steady state production at the Empire facility in Delta. As we look at a scale up, we will think about the new plants. So the Delta facility, probably 50 to 100 tons per day in steady state operation. The scale up facility will have 150 to 200 tons a day approximately. There's very little difference between the two, so the scale up risk is low, and that's what we're aiming for in terms of next steps. So the summary again is that we are ready to deliver now. We fit very strongly with the ESG, circular economy, and lowering the carbon footprint. The commercial model is significant upside. We have a strong capital structure, and we solve a huge environmental problem with a 100% diversion of landfill and a 60% reduction in carbon intensity. Thank you.